Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting episode of Mobile Armor Radio. Episode number
35.
35.
The last episode of season 3. 36 would be season 4, right?
Season 3, episode 12. Yeah.
It moves fast, doesn't it? I'm one of your hosts, Bryan.
And I'm Chopper.
And I'm Rob.
And with that, we're going to head on over into the...
Dropship.
Jumpship.
Dropship.
Oh, man.
We're in the Jumpship.
In the Jumpship.
You think eventually. It's only been 3 seasons.
3 years you would think we would have this down. But no, the quality just keeps... We just set the bar low and we excel at that.
That's
it's like my brain is on the topic for tonight, yeah. So like I didn't get my notes all together until the last minute.
There you go. It's a good excuse.
Right.
Yeah.
Dropship landing.
And welcome to the Dropship, where we talk about all sorts of mech building or modeling that we've been working on. A lot of the hobby tables is around here, so I'll throw it over to Pat to start.
Oh,
it's
well,
like it's like a death sentence every time you send places.
This will be very quick. I actually have not hardly done anything this last couple of weeks. Just I don't know why. I got no answers.
It's been a busy month.
It has been. I don't know where the time went. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. This month went really quick.
Like I even had a week's worth of vacation, which I didn't do anything still, and I don't know what happened. So, but I will say I did get my stuff from Talon. I got the Badger Dropship, which I was planning on hoping to get started so I could talk about it. But it didn't come with any instructions, so I have to watch the video of John Walker making it and kind of follow along with him. So that needs to wait for a day when I have a day off where I can actually sit and watch a video and at the same time. But it looks cool. It's a nice MDF cup. Yeah, cut out. It looks good. And from what I've seen on the thing, it's been pretty good. I got the whole box set. Rob put that thing on our Facebook page for that deal they put with the Dropship, the shirts.
It was for their CavCon. They had a big... With the stuff they would have been selling at CavCon. They put it all up online to sell.
Which was nice. So I got myself a little koozie for my little bear.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be awesome when I'm talking about robots and stuff.
Yeah.
And then those tanks and that other cav. I can't remember what it was.
Wasn't it what's the Dark Elf's called? I think it was one of theirs.
M. Marethel or something like that.
I think it was one of them, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a cool looking model, so I thought I should get it.
Yeah, I got it too, I think, because my faction. Well,
yeah, if I was going to buy the Dropship and that, I just went ahead and said, well, I'll just get the rest of it, because, it's not that much more.
Yeah, I haven't got mine yet, but that's not anything new. I'm in Canada. It takes like years to get across the border.
I got the mail today by Eaglemoss, my Viper Mark II. It's a hero collection. It's a die-cast model. It looks really cool. Of the Viper II from the reimagined Battlestar Galactica series.
It's new series.
You showed us the box. It was about as big as your head.
Yeah. I was, it's, the Viper II version is off the Galacticus, the new revision series. So, but if you look at the collection off of Eaglemoss, they're doing original series and both. So, they even put out if you're an old geezer like me, you remember the old series, they had like a little tank called the Land Ram. They even put that out.
Oh yeah.
Which is cool. So that's originally what made me think maybe I should buy these things.
Yeah, that's pretty deep cut. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I did. So, and I'm kind of happy with it. It said 10 or 8 to 10 inches on the thing, but this thing is bigger. It's about a foot long. So it's pretty cool. So I'm very impressed with the quality. So I'm going to start collecting that, and then I'll have more to talk about with that one every time I get one. My goal is to try and get a couple every payday or something when the wife's not looking.
Right?
Yeah, you got to spend the money on something.
We played a game of MechaHack.
That's in the next one. That's in ComStar.
It is. Okay, so we did not play a game of MechaHack, so I don't know what to talk about. Well, then with that, I did not do anything more than that.
That's fair. How about you, Rob?
Yeah, Dropship. Dropship. Yeah, Dropship. It's a Dropship in the Dropship. Yeah. That's going to confuse me. Yeah, I haven't got my Dropship yet, but I have did get Grid Wars, which is a 3D printed game from Titan Forge that they went on Kickstarter. So, and there's lots of mechs in that, so that counts. But I've been printing that, so mostly that's what I've been doing this whole month. I think I've just been constantly printing miniatures and mechs for Grid Wars.
A lot of print-on-demand games coming out.
Oh yeah, that's like that's the new thing now. The future is here. It's going to be a lot more of that. Because why bother making all these miniatures if you're going to print them? Even now, the Cyberpunk. We probably should talk about
Cyberpunk Red.
Yes, Cyberpunk. Yeah, there's the new tactical miniature game just came out too. That's on Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. I have no interest in it because I'm like, I want to print my own minis. And the price of like this whole, I think that whole Grid Wars was maybe for everything was like $50. Like it was so cheap.
Wow.
And, like obviously then you pay for your resin or your PLA, but still,
right.
It's not. I think I went through maybe doing every single miniature. I went through maybe 1.5 rolls, so it'd been like add another $40 onto it. So that's not bad.
That's about $100.
Yeah, for everything though. I probably have about 100 minis plus all the other stuff. So plus you can print as many as you want. You can have all different options with the mechs and stuff. And
I think out of the gate it's very comfortable just buying it. But the savings is where you can reprint.
Well, yeah, and there's terrain too. It came with a bunch of terrain, so that I haven't even started on that. Like, there's just filling up boards. You can also use it for other games, like Hardware, which is changing its name because they just got
Hardwired.
Hardwired, yeah, that's what I mean. They just got cease and desisted by the original author of that book.
Or was it? It was like an author who had that title in his book. They were kind of unrelated, if I recall, but
well, I think there
was a brand confusion claim.
Yeah, because there is the original like Cyberpunk book that even Cyberpunk was based off was called Hardware or Hardwire. Hardware. I can't remember.
Hardwired.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, but I'm not sure. And maybe it's called Hardware. And yeah, maybe that was the confusion. It wasn't even close, but. Once again, do you have enough money to fight whatever company owns that rights now? Because I believe that author is dead. Like that was in the 70s, so I think he's not around. If he is around, he's pretty old. I doubt it's him suing him. It's some company that owns the rights,
Probably.
That's a side thing anyways altogether. But on that, yeah, Grid Wars. Check it out if you're interested, but that's all I've been doing. I haven't done anything else, which is unusual for me. I'm looking around, I'm trying to think. Yeah. No, I haven't done anything else. What about you, Brian?
Well, actually, I had a pretty eventful month here where I did, in fact, get some hobbying done.
Nice.
So one of the things I had been working on was I talked previously in an episode, I've been working on Strider customizations for Dead Zone. And I had developed a 100% Mantic version of my Strider in the like ground Gundam-esque style from 08th MS team. And so the new addition is that I made another one in the same style, but with a different little loadout to them. So I put together a different... there's a heavy machine gun in Dead Zone called like the heavy burst laser. And rather than using the one Mantic has is metal, and I wanted to have these weapons magnetized because I want to be able to swap them between the mechs as I want to. So what I did is like they have a stationary gun that is pretty much the same heavy burst laser that's plastic terrain, and so I just modeled that a little bit around, and set it up so he's carrying it. And so I now have 3 Striders in the Gundam style of the 08th MS team.
Yeah, I saw them. They look pretty good.
Yeah, thanks. And it also means I do have a Goof Custom, which was the first one I ever made, in this series, you might say. And so down the road here, sometime in the near future, I am definitely going to be reenacting the Shuddering Mountain Part 1 with Dead Zone rules.
There you go. You have to have a 6x4 board, though.
It's going to be a bigger board, but it'll be a lot of fun.
That would be fun.
But yeah, apart from like that was the main hobby thing that I've been working on. This next piece kind of falls into a weird space because it's technically a video game, but it's one I'm making myself.
Well, I definitely think it deserves to be in this space, that one. Yeah.
Okay. So as you for those that aren't familiar, there's something that they call game jams that different communities of game developers occasionally put out, which is basically just a little mini contest where you have a set amount of time and usually a theme to develop some kind of game around. And so it just so happened that this month there was one that was called Mech Jam. And I'm like, it's all about Mecha. And I'm like, I kind of want to do that. And it just so happened like I had a little game prototype that I've been playing with for like a fantasy style game for anyone who's ever played Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy. It's like Final Fantasy's version of Zelda. And it's a really fun game. And I had created a little prototype of that style of game. And I was like, I really like this old, basically like monochrome-esque color palette, where my pixel, it's 16 by 16 pixels, for like character sprites and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to make a mech game like it was an old Game Boy game. And I'm going to do it about the Mantic Strider. And so by the time this episode comes out, this game will be alive and available for people to try out. It's a very simple thing. Basically, it's you're going to be piloting a Strider as a bunch of marauders are invading your colony, and you have to fight them back. And you're the only one that can do it. You are the Rebel Strider.
Is that the name of the game?
Yeah. Rebel Strider. So, yeah, don't expect anything too crazy, but I've had a lot of fun putting it together. This is actually one of the only evenings I haven't touched it. And the jam was about 2 weeks long to put it together. And it's been really fun. Like all the graphics I've kind of done by hand, and a lot of the sound effects I used a synthesizer tool to put together. The only thing that might be tricky is music. I have no talent for, so I might see if I can get a sample of somebody's music to put in there that's fitting.
You should talk to Jack Fike. Jack makes stuff. It would be perfect, like MIDI kind of stuff for that. Okay,
I might do it. It's due in just a couple days, so we'll see.
Might have to be a later add-on.
Yeah, maybe that can be the version 2. But yeah, it's just for fun. I hope everyone that's interested tries it out and enjoys it. And yeah, so it was kind of half Dropship, half ComStar. But yeah, there'll be a link in the show notes probably.
You should just use the Mobile Armor Radio theme. Just have it on loop.
There you go.
That's actually Jack made that too.
You'll have to send that to me. I don't know if I have that as an audio file.
I'm pretty sure it's called March of the Machine Men. That's why I used it. Yes, March of the Machine Men is the name of the Mobile Armor Radio theme by Jack Fike. We've never actually given him any credit, but might as well tell now.
After what was it, 3 years?
Who the hell is Jack Fike?
He's a guy who will never be on this show. We refuse to let him on.
That's true.
But that's the cap on my hobby stuff. So I think without further ado, let's move on to ComStar.
Message from ComStar.
And welcome to ComStar. This is the section of the show that we talk about all sorts of other media, shows, books, comics, everything else under the sun that we've come to enjoy with Mecha. And there's been a whole bunch of news that's come out this month. And I'm going to turn it over to Rob because he has the list.
Sure. The biggest news, of course, is that BIGWEST from Japan and Harmony Gold U.S.A finally made good. They finally made up. They kissed and made up after how many? 2 decades of disagreement, at least, of the rights.
Almost 3, right?
Yeah,
it was like 85.
What
Yeah.
you're saying? The Hatfield and McCoys, they've made peace.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the Macross and Robotech. So finally, Macross will be able to be in North America, and Robotech will be able to be worldwide. And it's March 1st. They signed an agreement. And they realized, hey, if we work together, we can make a crap ton of money. And
right.
I'm sure it'll include a Macross/Robotech live action movie that they can just redub in Japanese when it comes to Japan as all the Macross names instead of Robotech names. And so that fabled Robotech movie might actually happen now that it can be international because it was limited before. So I'm sure that's part of it. I'm sure they see other things happening and they're like, hey, we're leaving money on the table. Why are we fighting? Because really, I'm sure both companies are just both making money. So
yeah, I admit, I don't know if I ever, in my wildest dreams, thought that was going to happen.
No, we just assumed it was never going to happen. That
I won't lie. I didn't think that would ever happen either. Just because the vitriol was so bad.
And this is speculation, but I do kind of wonder if the expiration of the Palladium license, when suddenly the Robotech license went out to a lot more game company, people to make new things with it, really kind of re-showed that there is an audience for Robotech, and invariably Macross. So it'll be interesting to see what happens ultimately. Like, I know it's great that they're willing to work together, and now comes like I think of licensing with the Macross franchise, which it's one thing to just license anime, but the music, there is a heck of a lot of music in the Macross franchise, and I don't know if you get that, carte blanche, does it all come with the package, or if they have to license each song individually. It could be cost prohibitive. That was always something that, like, when I would talk with some of my other Macross friends, when it's like, oh, think you ever come stateside? It's like, well, Macross 7 has like 24 songs in it.
But who owns the rights to the songs?
Exactly.
Oh, they don't know. Like, it's not like that. The holding company there that owns Macross might not necessarily own those rights to the songs.
They might not,
yeah.
or there might be other distribution deals around them that could affect it. Not entirely sure. That's I think that's the next hurdle they're going to have to go through. But this is progress. This is good progress. I've talked a number of times on the show about the Macross franchise. We know we have a lot of people that love Robotech as well. There's a great blend of the franchises, and hopefully it means more people will be willing and hopefully open to saying, hey, I can enjoy this series and I can enjoy this series. They're different, but they're also very enjoyable in their own way.
Well, plus a lot of people just haven't had the opportunity legally to see some Macross, or in Japan to see Robotech. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be so much Robotech going to Japan. That's going to be Macross coming to the States. That's a huge thing. And I'm sure Harmony Gold gave into that so that they could get their Robotech movie into Japan. I'm sure that was the kind of the deal.
Probably. Yeah.
I don't think, other than Robotech as a kind of a cool thing that it's American, so the Japanese might like it it's the idea that it's different, but
Japan and China.
Yeah, well, China obviously is the biggest for everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Robotech might be already allowed in China, or they don't care. Maybe there's just because it is pretty lawless when it comes to rights. That because a lot of the games.
It seems to. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, Kids Logic is based in Hong Kong, and they're able to do Robotech stuff. So I wonder if, it might be a little thing there. Anyways, you were saying, Pat?
Just doing some research now. It looks like that Studio New is the music people.
Okay.
But I think they're tied with
BIGWEST?
BIGWEST, yeah.
It's a subsidiary or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be.
So I guess that it should come by because it...
Well, yeah. As long as it's not like actual songs that from bands and stuff that they licensed a long time ago. Because I know with like Married with Children, they're not allowed to use the original theme song on any of the streaming now because they lost the rights to who was a Frank Sinatra song that was original.
Frank Sinatra, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So a lot of that and a lot of other shows are like that where they have to replace the music with sound-alikes because it's not owned by them. So
that happened to Evangelion when it went to Netflix.
Did it? Yeah.
They lost the Fly Me to the Moon closing theme.
Yeah, it's owned by someone else. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So,
the 90s.
But I'm sure, I think Macross, it's all original songs. I don't think there's any...
I'm pretty sure it's all original songs.
Yeah, it's pretty much original songs, I think. I can't see anything that's not created by Soji Kawamori.
Yeah, like Yoko Kanno did pretty much everything from... She did Macross Plus. She did Macross Frontier Onward, I think has been her, as a composer for the show. Mm-hmm. And if you're not familiar with Yoko Kanno's work, like go watch like Escaflowne or Wolf's Rain or Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like Cowboy Bebop, the music is iconic. Like
yeah.
If it weren't for that
Yoko
music,
Kanno does amazing music.
Be known for. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait. Like, would it be great when it's hopefully Netflix or Prime or one of those get the rights to all the Macross? We can see it. Robotech's on like all different streaming systems, so maybe it'll be everywhere. So that'd be nice. That would be.
Yeah, that was just one piece of news.
Yeah, that was just the first. Yeah. To go along with that, the Robotech / Macross dogfight, which it actually says on the box, it's got both names from Kids Logic, is out. It is $70, which is a pretty steep price for a untested game. It does come with 4 minis, but it's only 1 officer, Battloid, and Veritech in 3 forms. So it's really only 2 1-on-1, right? And yeah, and it's called has Macross on the box, but all the names on the cards and everything are all the Robotech names. I wonder if that's just localized for us, or if they just decide to go with the Robotech names. It may be that they decided, hey, US is probably the biggest market for this, so let's go with those names. But so it's out there. It's available to buy. It was pre-ordered for April, so it's out there now. I'm still waiting for some stuff from Kids Logic because of all the shipping issues, so I wouldn't, maybe wait till it comes to another retailer like Ares Games or something. So I would think about that first. But yeah, it has those weird. It's got like looks like it's got markers like X-wing, but it also has like height markers, which are like plastic things. It can be all different heights. I don't know. I'd have to. The rulebook is available to download on the page that we have the link to. So you check out the rulebooks to see if that's. I haven't looked at it yet, but we'll have to see if that's something that actually works or if it's clunky. I'm not sure if these people have made any other games, so it might be... I know when Kids Logic first started, they had no idea about making miniatures. They were all about making big models and like really nice high-end stuff, so maybe it's just a couple guys who thought they could just make a miniatures game and it might not turn out great, but who knows? We have to check it out. So I think that's it for Robotech and Macross. Teco Toys, they're making display pieces. They're the ones who did the 3D... Well, they originally did a Kickstarter for the toys that were just big mechs, but it failed, so then they sold the 3D prints for them. Now they're doing display pieces, but they look just like Dead Zone for games. Like modular... I don't know if they're 3x3, but they look like that kind of set, so it might be interesting for gaming. Yeah. Once again, the 3D printable. It's STLs for things, so... Also, Stratos Minis is making a new version of Horizon Wars. Horizon Wars only came out maybe a year ago, but this new game called Hard War is like Horizon Wars 2.0, so it's kind of odd, but it's got Stratos Minis behind it, so it's actual miniature range behind it now, which is probably helpful. I believe Horizon Wars originally was Osprey, I think, did that. They do a lot of games that are just no miniatures involved, just whatever you have.
Yeah. And
I have it somewhere. I never looked at it once again. I buy things and don't look at them. But I remember when Horizon Wars came out, it's all about combined arms. It's not just mechs. You have to have infantry and tanks and stuff. So once again, hardware is available. I think there's a free preview of the book too. So check that out. I'm just jumping through this stuff quick because so if anybody wants to jump in if they have anything to say about anything, we got to get through it. There's a lot of news here.
Mm-hmm.
Another big thing that came out was Hasbro PulseCon happened, and they announced a transforming Optimus Prime robot.
Oh, I saw that thing. That thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, it actually transforms, and it has voice commands, and it talks, and it's lights up. This company has been making transforming robots for a long time, but they have the license for. It's a third party that makes them. They have a license for actual Transformers. I remember seeing a long time ago they did one of the parts of Devastator. One of the I think it was the front end loader. I think, or the dump truck. I can't remember. And it transformed. It's the same idea. It's pretty cool. It's it is $700 and sold out, so you're not getting it if you wanted it probably, but it's pretty steep for what that is. For a gimmick that, once again, it's just a gimmick. And everybody was kind of raving about it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we've seen similar things, just not licensed. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal as people make it out to be. It looks crazy, but... And it's probably only about, I think it's 18 inches tall, so it's not huge either, so... If that's your thing, if you want to spend $700 on a transforming robot, you go for it. But it's just odd. This one is, the next piece of news is, I think personally I did this because I mentioned Sound and Fury by Sturgill Simpson. I watched the Netflix show, and that came out like years ago. But now all of a sudden it's getting a prequel comic from Z2 Comics. They do a lot of licensed music comics. I know they have a Judge Dredd, or no, not Anthrax comic coming out about their one album that has the Judge Dredd song on it, and Scott Ian is actually writing Judge Dredd version of the song in the comic book form. But this one has Jason Aaron and Ryan Cady attached, so Jason Aaron's a big name. So
nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty much post-apocalyptic samurai, so that'll be fun. I'll check it out when it comes out. Another thing, Hired Steel is a machina from I don't even know who makes it, but it's on YouTube, and it's taken them years to do episode 1. I think we had a preview a long time ago, but it's pretty much Battletech in animated form. I think maybe they're doing it as the hope to get somebody like Netflix or somebody interested, and they could be the production company, but it is really cool anyways, even if it is for fun. One of the voices is by Tex from Tex Talks Battletech, so that's always fun. But it is cool. It's all really short. I think it's like maybe 10 minutes long, if that. And a lot of work has been put into it. And lastly, we have a lot of Netflix news. I never realized how many mech shows are on Netflix until all of a sudden they all announced all this stuff. So Netflix is making a live-action Gundam movie, supposedly, with Kong Skull Island director. And that's been a long time talking about the Gundam movie, but now Netflix is involved, so that's a lot more likely it's actually going to happen, because they tend to just throw money at things anyways. So we have a hope. Also, Love, Death, and Robots Volume 2 is announced. Volume 1 was interesting. Did you guys watch it?
I watched the first one, yeah. I did not watch the second one.
Yeah, the second one.
Because it's not out yet.
Second one's coming out. I think it's actually like mid-May, actually, I think is when Season 2 is coming out.
Yeah, and they also announced Season 3, too, I think at the same time.
Yep. So. Season 3 will be in 2022. Season
3? Bananas.
But the neat thing about that is it's all different production companies doing it, and they're all shorts, so it's probably easy for them to... a bunch of people working on them, so... And lastly, last piece of news is really exciting for me is Pacific Rim the Black is getting a Season 2. I didn't know if enough people would watch it, but enough people found it interesting that they made my dream come true that we get a Pacific Rim ongoing anime series. So
I didn't think they wouldn't get a Season 2, though.
I don't know. It's pretty niche. Like, that's,
Admittedly, I still haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
See, you haven't added to the numbers. So even without Bryan, they're still making the season.
Yeah, even without me.
Yeah, that's about it. I haven't done anything. I don't think I've watched any TV or movies that have mechs in them. Comic books, I'm still reading Ultraman and Ultra Mega. Both of them are alright. That's about it. What about you guys? Pat, what have you been up to?
Not much either. Again, as I alluded to earlier, we did play a game of MechaHack.
Yes, that was awesome.
Oh, that MechaHack game that you played.
Yeah. Remember
now
that?
You can mention it.
Now I mention it. So we had 4 people? Yeah.
Well, 4 plus you.
Yeah. So 4 actual pilots.
Yep.
And then just a little one-off game just to get used to the mechanics and playing around, and it turned out pretty good. The sucky part was that I had actually video screen captured, recorded it, but I had my mic muted in the software.
Oh,
so
no.
you could hear everyone else, but you can't hear me. So my plan was, my plan was to put it on our YouTube channel and have it all out so people could check out MechaHack and watch us play a game. And everything. So, and it was a good game. It turned out great. There was a lot of action, a lot of funniness, and things like that. But it just we're bound never to display any of our.
Yeah, we've tried Cyberpunk, which we failed, and now we failed this.
We also tried a one.
What's that?
We tried a D one. But let me just point out that this by far is the furthest we've gotten along. Like we recorded the whole episode, and everything was working except for me.
I still say you should just re-record your parts.
It's going to be hard.
I think you could do it.
The spontaneity.
Yeah, you just
pretend.
Not there.
I don't even remember what I said half the time.
Yeah, you just make it up. You can make us react to things that we
improv.
You like say something and we're like, yeah, that's great. And meanwhile, you said something horrible.
So. No, but we'll do it again. We'll definitely do it again.
Yeah, that was more of a demo game anyways. We were learning the ropes, how to do everything. My reactor went... Every single roll I made failed. You have to roll on a D6, is it? No, it's all different, right?
It's whatever you set your reactor at.
I think mine started at D8, and I failed to roll. Oh, you have to roll a 1 or a 2. And I think even then... Yeah, I think it rolled a 1 or 2. I wasn't a veteran. But... I failed it every single time. I don't think I succeeded in a 1 reactor roll. So
yeah, I don't think your reactor shut down because I think Jack.
No, I stopped doing it. That's why.
Jack saved you too because he had that special power that allows you.
Yeah, I had that too. And I tried. Well, I tried to use that special power on Jack, and I failed that roll too. So his went up and mine went down. But yeah, it was fun though. It's MechaHack's really smooth and really fast, which I liked a lot.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. We were just learning the ropes, and we just made our characters not really knowing much. So now that I played it, I probably would have made a different mech, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll do it again too. I kind of want to flesh this little kind of one-shot world I put together, and I've been kind of jotting down notes as I think of things to kind of flesh this world out to kind of make it an RPG setting.
Yeah, more RPG and just use the combat. Yeah. We were fighting kaiju, which is kind of fun. Like semi-intelligent kaiju, though. They were mining stuff, so it was kind of fun.
You think they're semi-intelligent?
Well, somebody was controlling it at the very least. But anyways, it was fun times. We went to a mine and we fought kaiju. That's all I remember.
Nice.
And I failed a lot.
Yeah.
And nobody would split the party, even though I suggested it many times.
But that's all I think I got. I mean, the dropship, we talked about that already. Yeah, that's all I got.
Well, speaking of kaiju, not to tangent too much, but it's, giant monsters is always just a short step away from the mecha topic. And so Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, yeah, I did watch that.
In theaters and HBO Max. I actually just got to see it this last weekend. Which was a blast. Like it is definitely a giant monster movie.
It definitely is. I mean, if you didn't like it, and I can see why people don't like it, but if you didn't like it, it means you didn't grow up watching these movies.
Or you also can't learn to turn your brain off and just enjoy giant guys beating on each other. I also heard a lot of the
these
complaints.
Are very.
What's that?
These are very reminiscent of the old Godzilla, King of the Monsters movies back in the day with Mothra or Gamora and all these other ones.
Yeah, and people were complaining that like Godzilla was the bad guy in him. Like, have you ever watched Godzilla? He's a freaking bad guy. Just because later he has a child and
he's an antagonist or a protagonist. That doesn't necessarily make him a good guy.
Yeah,
you could have bad heroes for God's sakes.
Yeah, the Godzilla is always you're going to get one or the other. He's either going to be there to protect you or he's going to be there to destroy you. And it really could just be, the phases of the mood.
And he's definitely self-serving.
Yes. Well, it was funny. Like, I posted online, like my first thought after seeing the movie was just thinking about Mothra sitting at home waiting for Godzilla to come back and just be like, so did you boys all have a fun time? Because she wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
The boys having I'm the strongest. No, I'm the strongest.
Yeah, that's the whole basis.
Mothra's just like, okay, I'm gonna be over here.
We all know.
I also said
productive.
I also said the same thing for Godzilla King of the Monsters. If you didn't like that movie, it's because you didn't grow up with these movies. You just don't get it.
Mm-hmm. I will say that there is a bit more emphasis on Kong as a character, but we've had 2 outings with Godzilla and we'd only had 1 outing with him.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fair trade. It was kind of that fascinating realization. It's like, oh yeah, this all started with Godzilla 2014.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
It seems so long ago. It's so long between movies. You kind of forget that this is one of the other, you might say, successful movie, multi-movie cinematic universes that's still going.
Yeah, is this the 4th movie? I think so, right?
This is the 4th movie.
Yeah. I'm a little bit on the fence about Mechagodzilla, though.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
No, everybody
That's
knows.
what I'm saying.
It was in the trailer right off the bat. They kind of spoiled that really early.
Well, the story arc on Mechagodzilla.
Well, they said it was just silly. Like they just hey, let's just it doesn't matter.
I don't hold. Yeah, it doesn't. But as a purist, I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, should be an alien, right?
Yeah.
Aliens
should always be aliens.
100%.
But
that's not to say it's not.
Yeah. But
it's still really good. So if you are in a kaiju mood, definitely check that out. It's totally worth your time. And it's a fun romp. If nothing else, you'll enjoy it.
I like the fight scenes. The fight scenes are really good.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it. And they toned down the humans. Like the first Godzilla movie, Godzilla was in 10 minutes of the movie. Like he barely is in the movie.
Like that.
Yeah.
And they toned that down where it's not about the humans; it's about the big giant guys fighting each other like the old movies were. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's not about what Millie Bobby Brown is doing at the current moment. Although she does do some stuff in it, but
it's really about Godzilla just hunting down anyone that he thinks is gonna challenge him.
Yeah,
being the tough kid on the block.
Yeah.
But other things that I've kind of gotten into, I finished up a bunch of stuff at the beginning of the month, and so it meant that I started up a whole bunch of new stuff. So I finished playing Death Stranding. That game is very strange. I was pretty happy with how it ended, though. I'm not going to spoil it by any stretch. I don't know if I'd have the words to explain what happened, but no, it was a really good game. But it is not for everybody. Just because it is pretty strange. If there's if you have any legitimate triggers regarding childbirth or babies in any way, it could there could be some traumatic moments. To be sure, it's strange. You got Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro working together. It's strange. With Mads Mikkelsen, he was great.
Mads Mikkelsen, oh my god.
Norman and Mads were fantastic in it, and shout out to Troy Baker, who plays one of the villains in it.
An actual voice actor. How unusual in a video game nowadays.
Right, and they did motion capture for him. It was him.
He actually did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when Kojima does a lot of the acting and stuff like that, he gets the people, and it's like, no, we're going to make you into the video game, but it is going to be you.
Did it look like him?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it looked like Troy Baker.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you don't really see him very often, so that's kind of cool.
Which was funny because I had recognized him because I'd met him at anime conventions. I'd seen him and stuff, and and I recognized his voice, But there was that initial disconnect. I'm like, you look familiar.
He kind of looks like Bradley Cooper.
A little bit, yeah. He's got very distinct eyes.
Yeah.
At least in the game, and but turned out to be a lot fewer mechs at the end of that game. So, that said, the next one I did play a little bit more Front Mission 3, more just kind of like picking at it for fun. But then I started playing a game that had been on my docket for a while, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Now I think I had talked about this game in the past. It's a Japanese title put out by Atlas, and it's from the folks that make Odin's Sphere and Dragon's Crown. Now, if you're unfamiliar with those, they have a very distinct and like beautiful aesthetic that they go with. Like it's very vibrant colors. You can kind of think of like the animation style for them is kind of like you have different parts of a puppet that kind of moves. Mm-hmm. It's all two-dimensional. But like if you just kind of think like, okay, my shoulder has a joint, my elbow has a joint, and they'll just kind of move, things almost as if it had kind of a skeleton. It's not like hand drawn by frame. It's like, we're manipulating and rotating this 2D sprite to make it to do the animation.
Almost like a paper model kind of, where it's just
connected
at points instead of actually fully rendered.
And so I've been a fan of their games. Odin's Sphere is a great, weird Shakespearean take on Ragnarok, like the end of the world Ragnarok, where you play through, I think, is 6 different characters at different points in a story. And then Dragon's Crown is kind of a very cheese-tastic D&D kind of like side-scroll beat-em-up game, and that's a lot of fun. That one is a bit more absurd. So one of the things, if you start looking at the character designs for Dragon's Crown in particular, you notice something very distinct about their art style. We'll just say buxom is a word.
And bustiers.
Yes.
Bustiers.
For all genders. So that said, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is a new game that they've put out that is a sci-fi part visual novel, part kind of tower defense game where the story is a weird cross between Pacific Rim, Edge of Tomorrow, or All You Need Is Kill. So there's a time travel component to this, and we follow 13 protagonists in at different points in a story kind of thing. So we're always seeing like different perspectives on things. Like, and to put it in perspective too, like it also crosses with War of the Worlds. So basically there's a War of the Worlds alien invasion, and in the future they developed giant robots to fight them, and then those giant robots, for some reasons unknown because I'm not far in the game yet, get transported back in time to fight the War of the Worlds machine, the tripods and stuff in those other times. And as far as a time range goes, we're talking like 1945 Japan.
Oh, yeah.
A lot takes place in 1985 Japan, and then I think it's like 2055 and 2086 or something like that. There's a couple future ones that we get a sneak peek of. But it's a fascinating game so far. I'm really digging it.
What are you playing it on?
PS4.
Oh, I have a PS4.
I don't.
No. Yes, you do, don't you?
No, I only have an Xbox One.
Yeah.
It might be on Xbox One. I'm not sure how wide their release was. I think it might also be on the Switch. But yeah, it's a strange one, but not in the same way as Death Stranding was. This is more of just like there's a lot of like perspectives and personalities to take into account and kind of trying to understand how these characters all relate to one another. So like one character was born in the past in like the was a teenager in the 1940s and then gets whisked into the future into the 1980s. So he's got like imperialist Japan mentalities and he's like, and now I'm in the 80s. And it's like, we could have won. If we used these giant robots, we could have defeated the Americans.
Well, giant robots win everything, so yeah.
But no, definitely check it out. It's the visual look of it is really cool. They kind of divide it between the story, the narrative playing out, and kind of fighting off this. The way they treat the battles does kind of have that same kind of end of days kind of feel to it. It's like you're on these last lines of defense as it's slowly getting whittled further and further back, while trying to like keep all your characters alive. So it's cool. It's got branching stories too, so it's worth your time.
Interesting.
I think the other thing worth mentioning is I did recently rewatch Full Metal Panic's second raid. And this was kind of in prep to, because I have the fourth season that got released recently. And I'm like, okay, I need to figure out where we left off. And I gotta say, I had kind of forgotten. So like, first season of Full Metal Panic is half kind of serious mech combat, military stuff, half high school shenanigans, fish out of the water kind of stuff. Season 2, Fumofu, almost 100% that comedy beat, right? It's the fish out of the water, our military guy just making really stupid decisions when trying to adapt to civilian life. Season 3, the second raid, is like 100% serious mode, with the violence cranked way up. I forgot how much blood and profanity and everything is in that season. It's a dark season, to be sure.
It's a little bit of a whiplash for the genre.
Yeah. And so with that, I'm getting ready to watch that fourth season. I haven't had a chance to yet, though.
Full Metal Panic. Yeah, I never watched that one yet. It's always on the list. It's pretty good. It takes place like in an like an alternate timeline, where I'm trying to remember exactly. Like there's a lot of literature and lore about, where the path of history changed and suddenly giant mechs were the thing all these militaries started using. Like the Russians became huge and the Chinese were big and the US is out there, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's been a very full ComStar. We should probably head over to the MechBay Hanger and get this topic talked about. Yeah, yes. We're gonna have a quick one, I think. We always say that.
I'm Bryan.
And I'm Rick.
From Dead Zone the Podcast.
And you're listening to
Mobile Armor Radio.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
Welcome to the MechBay Hanger. This is the part of the show where we do a bit of a roundtable discussion on a topic related to mecha in some way. And this month, what we decided on is, with giant mecha, one of the things that is commonly found is that there's usually some crazy dude who's like, I want to build a giant robot. And so we thought we'd dedicate a quick episode here to kind of the crazy scientists that make this all possible.
This one's for you, scientists.
And so I think I'm going to turn it over to Rob first.
My first one, he's very mad. He's a scientist. He's from Robotech. He's not from the TV show, though. He's from the Titan Comics. And that's Laszlo Zand. He's pretty crazy. He kidnaps Roy and makes a clone out of him, and the clone kills Global. And
he actually kills Global?
Yeah, it's like...
Roy... This is the alternate one where Claudia goes to the future or something like that?
No, what's her name from the second season? What's her name? The blonde girl. I can never remember the second season.
Oh, I forget her name.
Yeah. Anyways, she comes from the future to the past. And she meets her parents, and then her parents, Max and Mira, don't actually like each other because she kind of influences them. It's before Mira becomes fully good, so it's kind of fun.
That's right.
But, Claudia becomes the admiral. Like, what is he? Captain, I guess? But anyways.
He's Admiral. Admiral Global.
Yeah. Well, I think at the time he's only captain. He's only captain of the SDF-1.
Nice.
And the comic book's pretty fun. It got, unfortunately, the writer got COVID early on, and it pretty much got canceled at this point. It hasn't come back, so we'll see if that comic book actually comes back. It was, if you're a purist, people are actually angry about it, but I found it fun as a reimagining. I don't want to read Robotech again. I can watch the show, but to read something different, like an alternate version of it, it's kind of fun. Anyways, Bryan, what you got?
Sure. So the first one I thought I'd grab is, again, not necessarily the guy that built the machine, as it were, but he was definitely involved in the project. So in the show Gunbuster, there's a guy named Coach Ota, and he heads the division of like the pilots that train up to pilot their mechs and stuff like that. And he kind of takes our main character Noriko under his wing after her father saves him, and basically like trains her up so that she can one day pilot the titular Gunbuster giant mecha. And he's particularly crazy, not only because of this plan, but also like near the end of the show, it's all about like aliens invading the planet, and they're like, how are we going to stop these things? And he's like, guys, what we got to do is take a good chunk of, like, I think it's Jupiter, and we're going to make a black hole bomb. And we're going to throw it at him.
Obviously. That's what you do.
Like his plan is absolutely insane, but like the show treats it like he's the only one that knows what to do. And it's like, no, this dude is crazy. But yeah, he's a fun, crazy guy. So how about you, Pat?
Well, most of my mecha doesn't have a lot of
crazy people.
Well, they just don't have a lot of scientists in it. I mean, that play a big role. You know, I mean, you have the guys that create the mecha, like Bryan says, but none really take a big giant role. I mean, even Emil Lang, you know, in the Robotech, he was just kind of a side character, but in the comic book, he becomes a separate thing. So the one that stands out to me the most, and I actually casted him in our Hollywood episode, is Dr. Hell from Mazinger. Mazinger Z. He literally is a doctor who's the main antagonist. He actually starts off as friends of the guy who creates the Mazinger, Juzo and Juzo Kabuto, where they actually delve into the earth and find this lost empire back in the day on Earth that actually created giant mechanical beasts and used them as labor and stuff. And then he realizes he wants to take this technology and use it to rule the Earth, and that's when he kills. And that's when he kills everyone else in the expedition. Was especially the guy who created Mazinger, and whose grandson then basically gets control of the Mazinger Z and uses it to fight Dr. Hell. But in that whole series of Mazinger Z, he's creating these mechanical beasts and making cyborgs as his lieutenants from dead bodies from the old what is it called, the Mycenae Empire. So he literally is mad and crazy. He supposedly dies. He does die at the end of Mazinger Z, but then gets brought back to life in Mazinkaiser.
Of course.
By the Duke of Hell.
Don't you know anything about science?
He is Dr. Hell, so even the Duke of Hell needs a doctor.
Yeah. So when we wanted to talk about mad scientists, I was thinking this guy came right to the forefront because he is the epitome of mad science.
Yeah.
He's taken 2 dead bodies from Balgan. Basically, he finds these 2 dead bodies that are crushed by stone. One crushed on the left, one crushed on the right. So he takes both of them and completes their bodies and reanimates them with cyborgs on the parts that were crushed.
Jeez.
So
nice.
Yeah, so he's just crazy, and he looks crazy. If you ever get a picture of Dr. Hell, you just go to our Hollywood episode and check him and Will Ferrell out.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Will Ferrell is Dr. Hell.
Yep, from Zoolander.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they didn't actually use him when they made Zoolander, because Dr. Hell's been around forever. I wonder if whoever made the designs for Zoolander was like, hey, that would work.
Yeah, right?
Very nice.
All right, Rob, who do you got next?
My next one is he's a doctor, sort of. It's definitely a mad scientist. It's Shockwave from Transformers.
Shockwave.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. That's a good one. That's a good call, man.
Yeah, He is the most evil of all Decepticons by far. He in the original comics, he takes over and pretty much kills a bunch of both sides. And in the new Netflix series, he's draining all the Transformers for their sparks to power his evil schemes. That's
ship. True. To take over, actually.
Yeah,
right?
he's Shockwave's everybody thinks Starscream's like the antithesis of Megatron, but Shockwave's the one who's always trying to really take control. Starscream's a bit of a joke, whereas Shockwave is a real danger. And you think that Megatron's bad, Shockwave's way worse.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Shockwave is the Mengele of the Transformers.
Yes, for sure. That's a good, that is exactly the right thing, where he'll do anything for whatever comes to his mind, he's willing to do it. And even if all the other Decepticons are like, what the hell, this is not right.
Yeah.
I think
it really comes forward in the new Netflix series, for sure.
Yeah, he's super evil now.
I remember in the War of Cybertron game, it was either War or Fall, with the Dinobots. Like, he's responsible for the way that they talk. Like, he messed with their heads, like, by torturing them, and that's why he can't speak straight anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shockwave is super evil. So that's right. I needed Shockwave as a mad scientist. He's the maddest. And, yeah. Also, it also helps that he doesn't have a face. He's just got that single eye. And it's creepy as hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
It also works too that he's got like I want to say clones of himself out there, but they're all like lesser versions of himself, and they're evil and crazy also.
He's a bad guy. What else we got? Brian, you got another one?
I do. But I was thinking, so I've got 2 left. Pat, I think you were looking for one. Do you want to take Tem Ray?
No, because I don't even know who that is.
Okay.
I'm gonna tap out.
Okay.
Out.
So Tem Ray
broke things.
Tem Ray is the father of Amuro Ray.
Yeah.
From Mobile Suit Gundam.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's minimal though, right?
He doesn't. We actually don't get to see much of him. He's in like the first episode of the show. And then
he's crazy. Then he's crazy after that.
Yeah, he basically gets thrown out into space and deprived of oxygen for a while. And the next time we meet him, he's gone a little space mad. But like, you know, when we first meet him, and even in some of the like Gundam the Origin stuff, we can see he is kind of a brilliant, slightly what's the word I'm looking for? He's kind of got this rivalry going with the Monofsky, who's been working on the Xeon, mobile armored suits that were coming out. And so he's like, no, our stuff is better, and look at it.
Yeah, he's very much cats in the cradle with Amuro, though. So
yeah, he's not a great dad.
No.
And he's got a very hands-off parenting style. He's separated from his wife, who was still on Earth while he was up in the colonies with Amuro, and he kind of died as an indignant death, where he's like listening to a battle report that I'm trying to remember how quickly this battle happens from when Amuro meets him again. Like Amuro tracks him down, and his dad is like, he's initially like, "Oh my gosh, my father, it's great to see you," and he's like, "Oh, Amuro, how's the Gundam doing?"
Yeah.
It's like, what if we made this, take this can.
How's my toy?
The gun. like he's obviously gone. Like Amuro even, I think, says goodbye to him. Like, this is the last time I'm going to see you. He just knows it. And then he, like, in a drunken bit of woohooing, because the Gundam won, he trips and falls down the stairs and presumably breaks his neck and just dies.
Yep.
But yeah, he was crazy.
They're like, yeah, let's get rid of him. This is the way to do it.
And I think with that, I'm going to wrap up with one more, because it would be a disservice if we didn't mention this guy, Gendo Ikari from Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah, I thought you did.
I always forget about that guy.
This guy, really iconic. Like some of these other characters we mentioned, they're more in the background, or an antagonist or something like that. This guy is technically on the good guys team. He sits and lords over the entire Nerve headquarters, and what he says goes. But basically, he's responsible for developing the different Ava units. He and several other scientists that work with him, but he was kind of the spearhead of it all. And guy's kind of insane. He's got a lot of repressed emotions. He treats people, treats objects like people and people like objects. In a lot of weird ways, now that I say that out loud. Basically, it was the ends justify the means 100% of the time, even if it means sacrificing his son or the other young teenage pilots, or clones or his dead wife. Wait, his wife's not really dead because she's part of Ava Unit 1. Oh.
Yeah. It's just
so really crazy guy. And at the end of the day, it actually ties into, I always wanted to make an AMV of this, of Gendo and Shinji, his son, kind of pairing them off, set to the song of Lifehouse's All In, because it's very much the mentality for Gendo. Is like he is 100% invested in this. It cannot fail, and more often, like at the end of the day, kind of what he wants to like have happen is, in a way, kind of be reunited with his wife, but at the same time, like there's this whole apocalypse thing happening. So he'll get to one of those two things eventually.
Yeah.
Crazy show. Well, I think that's going to be a wrap on the MechBay Hanger, so let's head on off to the ExFil.
Let's ExFil out of here.
Thank you guys for checking out the episode. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you've seen or heard, I guess.
Can you like and subscribe somewhere? It's not YouTube.
It is not YouTube.
I guess you can subscribe.
You can subscribe, yeah. Why not?
But
on Podbean, download.
And you can like it in your own heart.
Yeah. Share it with your friends and engage with the community. We've got a very positive and connected group of people on our Facebook group. And we always love hearing from you guys. So if you know any kind of crazy scientists that make giant robots, just let us know.
Exactly. If you know of a character we didn't know about, let us know. Because now that we've talked about it, I'm thinking in my head, I really just don't know any of the scientists other than the ones who created the machines. But there's not very many antagonists other than Dr. Hill in my head that go against any of the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, with the. I
mean, could you count Rita as a mad scientist because she's a witch, right?
Sure.
Magic is a science that...
You just don't understand yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But with that, I think we'll sign off. I've been Brian.
I'm a Chopper.
And I'm Rob.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter @MArmorRadio. Find us on iTunes and visit our website, mobilearmorradio.podbean.com. Join us on the first of every month for more Mecha discussion.